Okay, we're good. Hey everybody, I'm Dimebag Darley for Dimebag TV. It's the other morning show, and today I have Democratic Party nominee for United States Senator Angelica Earl. And we're here on location in St. Louis. And so what made you want to run?
All right. Well, I was working in the health insurance market, and I'm doing the Affordable Care Act all day. I'm talking to millions of people around
Right.
the country, and I'm just watching our country just deteriorate. The things I was doing in the marketplace, I was working with the Department of Homeland Security clearance. We're doing, financial clearances, and we're just working in all aspects of kind of our society and what everybody's going through financially.
Right.
To achieve their insurance at this point, give their subsidies. We actually did so much that with all my experience and education and my background and the things that I've taken time to teach myself, and then added with everything that I've learned in the marketplace, learned how to help people in the marketplace, and have spoken to people who was encouraging, I decided to go ahead and put my foot in. Since Missouri, one of our major issues here is single payer health care.
Yes.
Everybody wants single payer health care. I'm 100% single payer health care, and I understand the health insurance industry and the finances of it and the insurance policies that happen with the health insurance. So I wanted to get that changed, and Claire McCaskill doesn't.
Because it's one thing I noticed about the Affordable Care Act. Since it's been implemented, me personally, I've seen my premiums go up year after year after year, and I can't even afford to use it, But if I don't have insurance, then I get fined. So, and then I see that it's so many people that's uninsured, and I rarely get sick. So it's like I'm paying all this money. If I'm not using it, then this person should be able to use this money or give it back to me.
Right. So what you're talking about is kind of a democratic socialism. So we're not full-blown socialism,
right,
because we're not saying, we're just going to do everything for everybody.
Right. I don't want the government owning everything,
right,
but, certain stuff should be, healthcare should be a right as a citizen in this country.
Exactly. Healthcare should be made a right. And in my opinion, it is a right. We just have to take it.
Right.
Everything that's ever happened in this country, anything positive, anything that we would consider socialist, happened because we took it from major corporations and from the wealthy. You can look back through history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think about money in politics?
Well, I am not accepting any money from super PACs or corporations. I am only taking small individual contributions. And I think that the problem is if you have a person who says, I am against money in politics, and then immediately turns around and takes money from a corporation, how much are they really against that? You cannot fight what you are.
Right.
You have to fight it by being not it. And that's just, it's a rampant problem that's happening all across our country. So people like me are stepping up all across the country and trying to take on this issue against people who are saying they're taking on the issue, but we can visibly see that they're not.
Yeah, when I first found out about you, I was on board. I was like, yeah, this is who I'm going to throw my support behind, because I look around and I see people. I grew up in the city. I live in Jefferson County now, and I don't see any difference. It's rampant drug abuse. No jobs. If there is jobs, they're low-paying jobs. And I look at it like we live in the richest country on the history of the planet, and so few have many, and so many have few, and it bothers me to know that how much food get wasted, and we got kids going to bed like in this area. If you go in this direction, about 40% of the kids in that direction of this of St. Louis, they're going to bed hungry at night. And it's like that down there where I live too.
Yeah, so we are actually in Fountain Park, which is at the Delmar Divide. You can see behind us Martin Luther King, who's kind of looking over everyone here. I used to live here for a very brief period. I used to live in one of the houses actually on this side of the street. The neighborhood is great. There's a lot of older people in this neighborhood, definitely baby boomers. They are very, very community oriented. They all communicate with each other. There's actually a sunflower garden back there, and he gives sunflower seeds to everyone in the area who wants it. So it's really nice. Now, one of the things is that you can't see is that these houses are deteriorating. The ones that are not lived in are just falling apart. You have most of these do not have air conditioning units. I spent a summer here, so I was able to experience that no air conditioning in the community, and they actually had to bust open a fire hydrant without permission to cool all the kids off in the neighborhood. There's actually right now a water main break just around the corner that looks like it's going unattended, and there's a school that was over here that caught fire recently. This area needs help, and that help that it needs is basically you. It needs community. It needs people just saying this is not okay, which is what we're doing now in our country. Is we're standing up and we're saying this is not okay anymore.
Right.
We're tired of it. It's unfortunate that it took extending into other communities for them to realize it, but we're there. And if we talk about how it should have been different, then we're not going to get anywhere. So we just need to talk about where we are now and how to move forward. And how to move forward from this type of situation is really just changing the criminal justice laws and making affordable housing, as well as providing we need jobs, man.
Yeah.
We need jobs.
And speaking of jobs, you know, our infrastructure in this country, and I'm just going to be black, it's third world.
Yeah.
You know, you just driving down 270, that should tell you something, you know, between 6 and 9 and between 3 and 7, that our infrastructure is a third world, and we got millions of people that's out of work, and we could put these people back to work just by rebuilding our infrastructure.
Right. And one of the ways that I want to go about that is by pushing for those renewable energy jobs. So imagine if we brought a company up here in this area that took out a bunch of warehouses and put in a small solar farm, and then we had all this area, the community, working on that solar farm.
Right.
We could do that all over the country. Those are jobs. Those are permanent jobs. Those are people who can be trained to do those jobs so they have an education and they feel like they have a purpose in life again. You know, and honestly, it's really visible. What you were talking about was that you live in Jefferson County now.
County.
I actually lived in Jefferson County
also
at one point.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, the difference between here and there isn't. There isn't.
No.
You walk around, if anyone in Missouri is watching, you know where Creepy World is. Creepy World is in Fenton. There is an island right in between Creepy World and the highway that if you walk around this island, you better not go barefoot because you will get stabbed by needles. It is the same way out here, except this area doesn't really choose needles. This area is a little bit more with cocaine and crack, unfortunately, but they're all just as horrible, and they shouldn't be punished for that either. What they should be is getting treatment and having insurance to help with that treatment provided to everyone. So as a community, we can stand up and say, yes, we're going to vote for the only U.S. Senate candidate in Missouri who's running for single-payer health care, which is me. I'm the only one. And that will help the communities rise up out of the drug problems, and it will provide everyone with a healthy future instead of what we are right now.
And on another issue, like you spoke on criminal justice, and we know about the protest that was going on with the officer that was on video saying that he was going to kill the young man, and he killed the young man. And we've been seeing this stuff across the country, you know, unarmed citizens, you know, a lot of people shouldn't be, you know, killed. There was other ways, you know, that this situation could have been handled. You know, like the guy in Oklahoma that called the police because his car broke down and it cost him his life. And, you know, when I talk to other people, when I talk to a lot of people, the one thing that they worry about, you know, I'm minding my own business, and just because of my skin color, you know, I'm being automatically targeted, or, you know, just because of who I am, when I'm not committing any crime or anything. And it's terrifying knowing that, you know, my tax dollars are paying for somebody that could literally take my life. You know, and I know that that's probably a concern throughout the whole country.
Right.
You know.
So what's really crazy is the police department is a socialist program that people who are against socialism will not admit is a socialist program.
Right.
So this socialist program, he's right, we pay into it. So we should have the say on how it operates. And currently, it's not operating very well. I if anybody's watched my videos before, I've talked about how I have relatives that are in the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, so they're city officers. And I have been told horrible stories about those things those officers have done. And without going into detail, and I never will go into detail, it is probably one of the most corrupt police departments in the country. If we are going to fix this problem, we will have to we will have to reschedule medicinal marijuana at the federal level, so that way across the board we can stop arresting people for using marijuana. Another thing that we need to do is we need to implement compassion training, so that would weed out a lot of these racist and just really cruel, violent officers that have gotten into this field to be racist and cruel. If we implement compassion training across the board, it could be an incentive program where we can withhold federal funding until they prove that they've done the program. The program would be ongoing. It would never cease. It would be maybe monthly, maybe bi-monthly, just to make sure these officers will not pull that gun the moment they feel threatened, and instead we'll talk it out or we'll pull something else. So that's, compassion training actually works. It's been used in counties, and it's been proven to work. It actually has reduced the amount of cop violence dramatically in those areas.
Right. And, you know, another thing is like investing back, you know, in communities. There's a lot of kids, you know, they go to school. You know, I when I talk to people, I tell people a lot, one of the greatest lies ever was told, especially to the millennial generation and a lot of Gen Xers, that if you go to college, it's a job they're waiting for, and it's millions of kids that got these degrees and they're working at like Petco, you know, with $40,000 and $50,000 a day, some even more than that, to where when they die, they're still gonna owe this debt, and it makes no sense why, you know, I would like to see to where it's a lot of intelligent people out here and smart people. If they just had a little bit of money to get them a foundation, they could create wonders for humanity in general.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And, you know, I am worried about the climate and where we're heading right now. There's just so much going wrong in our country, and especially with what's actually happening right now with this GOP tax plan.
Yeah.
Now, granted, the politicians who are being paid for through corporations who are Democratic are saying no, because it's kind of a no-brainer that they have to say no.
Yeah, it's just propaganda.
Right, but if it passes, it's going to be really shocking to me, because history, we've already done this.
Yes.
We've already done this twice before in history.
Yep.
So why are we repeating this? So now they're just spreading lies like we don't have the internet and like we cannot find it out. Well, isn't that coincidental that they're trying to end net neutrality when the internet is the one thing that teaches us what they're actually doing and teaches us what's a lie and what's not? So here we are in the middle of a very, very, very hard time in our country.
Yes.
And it's all up to us on how we react to this. If we keep sitting down during these half-vote sessions, like they did here in the city when they offered officers a raise because people didn't go out to vote. One, that's an outreach issue, and it's done intentionally.
Yeah.
And so that needs to be definitely changed. And two, people are not motivated. They don't see a reason to go out and vote. So here I am running up in a primary where people are not motivated to come vote, and that's where you guys come in, because you guys are the voice. Without you, there is no nomination. So here we are asking you, don't stop talking about this campaign. Like I said, only candidate running for single payer in Missouri. Only one. And I know how to achieve it, and we're going to achieve it. You can actually find that out on my website, which is teammissouri.net.
And she's not taking corporate money, so we know she's not bought on. And she's not going to come out here and tell us a bunch of other things and then go vote a different way. And one thing I look at, you know, with, like you said, with the internet, I can go look at these politicians' voting records, and just by looking at Claire McCaskill's voting record, I know that she's not going to do anything for average everyday people. It's a lot of people that's getting up, working 2 or 3 jobs, working 70 hours a week, when that makes no sense, when there's abundance of resources, but they're all being taken from the people and given to a handful of corporations and wealthy people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a shame that we can't just have what's right.
Right.
And that we have to fight for it. But if you really think about it, what that comes down to is greed and power. And so we're actually fighting against things that we're not going to understand. We just have to know that we need to get there and do it. Now, I know that everybody has this kind of dread in the pit of their stomach, right? You feel that?
Yeah.
I think everybody feels that dread in the pit of their stomach. I think that's worldwide.
Yeah.
And if it's worldwide and we all feel that dread, I think that's climate change.
Yeah.
And I know that we talk about how animals act weird all of a sudden if the weather changes dramatically, and we never really feel that because it's never really bad enough to actually make us feel it, and now suddenly we feel something.
Yeah.
And it works me.
Yes. Little Jet.
It irks me to feel that.
Yeah.
And it irks me even more that these politicians feel that too, because it's an instinct.
Yeah.
And yet they're not acting on it. They're not doing anything. So Claire McCaskill, my incumbent, says that we should be for the oil industry, that she approved the pipelines, that we should be helping with the coal industry. These industries are dying.
Yeah, we don't need that.
Moving into the future.
Yeah, we don't need that stuff anymore. And I look at it like, a person shouldn't have to work, 60 hours a week, and 1/3 of that income is coming to generate power to their homes, to where their homes could be retrofitted to create its own energy. And just think about how much money you would save.
Right.
And that's less wear and tear on your body. You don't have to work numerous of hours a week, and you can spend more time with your family. Because I always look at it like this: we have to, as humans, leave this planet in a better condition for our offspring, because in 20 years they're going to come looking at us when it's like what they say, hell in a handbasket. They're going to want answers.
Well, we know how we look at baby boomers.
Yeah.
And we don't want our kids thinking that way about us. And I think the baby boomers have it in them to make this change. I think that we do need their cooperation in this. But at the same time, there are more millennials and more progressives and more democratic socialists than there are of the any other group. Yeah. We're here. We have the numbers. There are more of us than there are of them. So it's really just a matter of don't stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Don't stop talking about it. Post on your Facebook page. Post on your Twitter. Post on your Tumblr. Post it everywhere. Don't stop talking about it, because that is how we reach everyone. If you have the opportunity to drive out into the country and you want to go to a restaurant, start talking to those people in that restaurant and tell them, we know that you're here. Just because I'm from the city, it doesn't mean that I don't know that you're here and I don't understand your struggles, because we all have the same struggles right now. All of us.
I've seen that firsthand by, growing up in inner city St. Louis, and then when I moved to Jefferson County, and I see the demographics are different, but the same problems are there. Lack of resources, no jobs, you can get drugs. Drugs are relatively available, but it's no jobs, and then it's like a snowball effect that it has on people. And one time I went to my daughter's school, and I seen a kid wearing soccer cleats in the school, and it reminded me of when I was in school, and the stuff that was going around. And that's why I tell people, get out, talk to your neighbors, greet people, go see how other people live, because when you do that, you realize that they're living no different from where I'm from. The same problems where I'm from are occurring in their neighborhoods too. And the only way we're going to get any change, we all got to stand up and fight back.
Right. It's not just you. It's not just your neighbors. It's the people who live across the state that are living the exact same way. I set up a group on Facebook so we can communicate across Missouri, and that's actually Team Missouri with an exclamation point on Facebook.
Right.
This group is not politically driven at all. It's literally just a space for Missourians to basically come vent about the issues that they're having in Missouri, so that other people across the state can say, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going through that same thing, or my neighbor's going through that same thing. Maybe this community isn't so different after all. Maybe the community is a little wider than we think it is. Now, there's a lot of propaganda about how, let's blame this group, and let's blame that group. And this is just a tactic. This has always been a tactic. I'm sure everybody who's watching this already knows the separate and conquer, and that's kind of what we're experiencing. They've actually just kind of started to give that up recently, where they're just not even hiding it anymore. We have major, like, wealthy people, billionaires, who are saying straight up, oh, it's us and them, and that's just not okay in my opinion. I've lived all the way at the bottom, I've clawed my way to the middle, and then and the moment you blink, it's over.
Yeah.
You don't have it anymore.
Yeah, because I find myself working as hard as I can, and at the end of the day, it's still not enough when you know that the resources are there, and it's like, I look at it like, of course, everybody can't be rich,
right.
But instead of having 15 billionaires, we don't need 15 billionaires, they just got to be millionaires, so everybody can live a decent life. Like, our kids shouldn't be, my daughter in 2 years will be getting ready to go to college. And I'm worried about, how does this stuff get paid for? I don't want her straddled with a bunch of debt, and it's like, you got a whole generation of millennials that can't even buy a home because they have so much student loan debt.
Right.
Or
they can't even get anywhere in the first place.
No.
No. And we were talking about that before we started. I really want to expand my education.
Yeah, me too.
I want to expand my education so bad it hurts. I am ready. I love educating myself. Thank goodness we have the internet.
Oh, I know.
So I can feed that need.
I know.
But at the same time, I don't have $260,000 guaranteed in my future to pay off the schooling that I want to achieve. And that's actually how much I was quoted to finish all of my schooling, was $260,000. Now, if we add on the interest that's going to go on that, we're talking over $500,000 in debt just to finish my education. That's not feasible. This is something that millennials are dealing with all over the country. Again, we're going back to maybe this community is a little wider than we think it is.
Right.
So we have this problem of education costing too much, but yet education is being told to us is the only way to be successful in life. But it costs too much.
Yeah.
So how do we change that? Well, we got to change the student loan program, obviously. Currently, right now, Betsy DeVoe is not going to help that situation at all. This is a matter of just having people strong enough to tell her no.
Yeah.
And currently, my incumbent does tell her no, but doesn't do much of anything else in regards to that.
It's more because, like, I want to get a degree in agriculture, but I know I can't afford it.
Right.
And I want to get to a point to where I can teach other people, how to grow their own food, because if one thing that what's going on now, a lot of food, especially this processed food, it's killing us.
Yeah.
We feed this to our kids.
I truly believe that the pesticides that we use in our food is what's causing this huge outbreak in autism. I believe it's causing severe allergies. And I don't see a reason for pesticide. We are in 2017.
Yeah.
We have the technology to stop poisoning our food, which we're going to pretend doesn't poison us back. So, and we have this organic technology now, where all these farmers are switching to organics, but yet you have Monsanto who's actually going in and suing these farmers. You can find videos on that on YouTube.
Yep.
And
all over a seed flying on somebody else's property.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking
about. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
So this is real. This
like
is
an
real.
agricultural geek. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Monsanto is notorious for this practice. Yeah.
Right. And it's just poison in any form getting into our food supply is not okay. It's not. and it's hurting our kids. And I was lucky to where my children were not affected. I actually switched to a lot of organic food. When I was pregnant with the WIC program and food stamps, I was able to switch to those organic foods. Don't tell any other politician that, right? Because they're going to want to change the program to not include organics or something.
Yeah.
And, I have friends who were not so lucky. I have friends and playmates for my daughters who were not so lucky to make it through the pregnancy process without having autism.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people who had this problem, some of them I discussed with them what type of food she was eating when she was pregnant. And the ones that stood out to me the most was a lot of fast food.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of fast food.
Yep.
And that, again, a lot of pesticides, a lot of fake food, a lot of nasty stuff. McDonald's, for instance, buys all the dead and dying and diseased cows and doesn't cut out any of those disgusting things.
All that stuff got to go in, you know.
So you're eating a cow's cancer tumor.
Yeah.
And that actually I learned that from my grandma, who was with her boyfriend at the time on a cow farm, and McDonald's pulled in with all their trucks and bought all the dying cows.
Yeah, because
so that's firsthand.
If they can get that cow to walk in that slaughterhouse, you're going to be eating it in your Big Macs. I used to joke around with people when I see them eating McDonald's and stuff, and I tell them, that takes a day off your life every time you eat that stuff.
Man, it's so nasty.
And
what's really weird is the further out you go into like what we would consider a better off neighborhood, the more McDonald's they eat. And that really confuses me.
Yeah, they're more. It's more fast food places in suburban America than there are in the inner cities.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, actually, if you check on Google and you pull up your Google map and you just kind of search areas, you'll see that the area we're in, which again is Fountain Park at the Del Mar Divide, has a lot of little mom and pop stores in the area that are self-sufficient. The community supports them. But if you go look in St. Peter's, all you're going to find out there is corporations.
Yep.
And you just go look. It's there. You can see it. So actually, this area, I really liked this area when I lived here because it was very calm throughout the day. Everybody got along really well. Everyone was so nice.
Right.
At night was a different story.
Right.
But during the day, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Now if I were to drive out to Arnold right now or Jeffco, during the day is not the same. It doesn't feel the same out there.
Right.
You still feel on edge during the day out there. So there's a big difference in communities while being the exact same. It's the way they handle it.
Yeah.
And so I think that if we do what I was talking about and communicating across the state, we can help get that lined up.
Mental illness is rampant in this country. A lot of people can't get the health care that they need for these type of diseases, and they're left to roam the streets, and then terrible things happen to them, and that all stems back to health care.
It stems back to criminal justice reform and health care. So the compassion training would actually help them learn how to deal with someone who's in a mentally unstable situation.
Because I always thought it was kind of weird to where, everybody in the neighborhood knows if a person's suffering from mental illness, or have a mental problem, except the law enforcement that patrols the community.
Right. So why is law enforcement not involved in their community is one of the big questions.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure. Now, I grew up in a little jurisdiction of one of the many, many, many jurisdictions in St. Louis County. And this little jurisdiction is currently one of the most underpaid police departments. I don't know if it's in the state. I think it's just in the state. I don't think it's the country because they're smaller towns. But this little jurisdiction, the officers want a raise.
Right.
Now, I've spoken to members of my little
they're
community.
They're totally underpaid for what they do.
Now,
no doubt about that.
The residents would give them a raise in the taxes. Put it to a vote, we'll give you a raise because they've always been a really good police department. Right? Well, instead, they say that, our community's not going to give us a raise if we put it on the taxes. And they started ticketing the community.
Yeah.
And this one officer got 125 tickets in a month. And this is a community that's used to seeing maybe 10 in a week.
Yeah,
So something's got to give here. And I think part of that might be here in Missouri, especially when we have all these little jurisdictions. I don't know if other states see this.
Yeah.
But these little jurisdictions really kind of need to be absolved into a bigger area because there's just too much inconsistency.
Yeah, I noticed one thing, like with I'm gonna use Ferguson as an example. Like after the DOJ went in there and did their investigation, they were basically using the police department as a revenue collector. Yeah, and I noticed that even in the small town that I live in, I had to go to court one day for a ticket. You know, I go to court and like 90% of everybody in there were for either small amounts of marijuana or just marijuana paraphernalia, and $100 fine, $200 fine, you know, and it's like, okay, now I see where they're getting the money from. They're doing the same thing that was going on in Ferguson. They're doing it all across the country, you know, using the police force.
We see people being killed by police over marijuana.
Yeah.
We see people being framed by police over marijuana. We see women being molested by police over marijuana. So what we have is an issue of here's a plant.
Right.
That's called weed because it's literally a weed.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like something that you don't want to grow there, but this stuff has these chemicals in it that actually help you.
Yeah.
So they say in the political world of corporations that marijuana has not been proven to help.
Right.
But in all actuality, we have countries that have been doing research on this because it's legal there, and we know for a fact that it helps. And we actually have seen scientific studies where they have shown that marijuana can actually help cure cancer.
Yeah.
So here we have an actual possible cure for cancer, but yet it's not going to help anyone. So my incumbent is one of the people who actually really was gung-ho about the drug war. She was a prosecutor that went against people who did drugs. That was her job before she was elected. So how are we going to have medicinal marijuana across the country in Missouri if the senator that's currently voted in is all gung-ho for the drug war? It's not going to happen. And we see that she's gung-ho for that because she backed the opioid list.
Yeah. So
we have a list of people who get prescribed drugs. Why do we need that list? Who are we going after? We shouldn't be going after anyone. We should be giving them health care so they can get off of their addiction. And we should be legalizing marijuana and stop fighting people for doing something that actually helps their bodies, helps their minds, and moves people forward. So
it would create a lot of jobs as long as they can get it to where you don't need a few $100,000 in the bank just to, you know, start growing your own stuff for it's like distribution and stuff like that. Because it's probably a lot of talented growers out there, but you know, like with Colorado, I had learned that, you know, in order for people to start manufacturing it themselves, they needed like a few $100,000 in the bank, not alone what the fees were for the applications and all this other stuff, to where and that eliminates a lot of entrepreneurs that don't have that type of resource. I mean, how many people can walk up to a family member and be like, hey, I need $500,000? You know, it's hard.
It's not going to happen, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Baby boomers are finding that they're not all that successful either.
Yeah.
A lot of them still have a hard time swallowing that pill, but it's the truth. We're all told that we can be successful. We're all going to be millionaires at some point in our life, and then at one point you got to bite the bullet and realize that you've been lied to.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about marijuana in the city.
Okay.
So in St. Louis City, Megan Green, who I'm very, very
I know you're talking about,
announced that she's putting forward legislation to basically legalize marijuana in St. Louis City. This is a huge step forward. When I had the pleasure of speaking to her about this, I suggested that we offer a discount for the card that they're talking about having to purchase, which this card is kind of like a preemptive strike to the federal government to prevent them from fining you for doing something illegal. It's like a pre-fine. So it's just a safeguard against the federal government coming in and trying to get everybody in trouble.
Yeah.
So this card, I think she said like $50 a year. I said, why don't we do a discount for military veterans, for disabled people, and for maybe Medicare participants? And she actually said, oh, that's a great idea. You know, so I really hope that's implemented so we can kind of move towards that medical a little bit and make sure these people who really need it can get it. and while people can also enjoy it at a leisure.
Yeah, and when you brought up veterans, where I worked at during the summer, it was a lot of veterans, going into the VA, and I talked to a few of them and stuff, and they would come out of the VA clinic, disappointed or something like this, and I look at it, veterans should not have to go to the VA or, have to fight for benefits they earned. They should have a card, and on that card they should be able, if money's a little short, they need food, just take that card, swipe it, they got food.
Right.
They should be able to go in any doctor's office and show them that card, no copays, no anything. You being a veteran, you get this stuff. We shouldn't have homeless veterans.
No, we should not have. Actually, from what I heard a couple of years ago, St. Louis City has it to where veterans who are homeless, they do offer housing now.
Oh, okay.
So if you know a veteran who's homeless, tell them to go into the city and inquire about free housing that they can participate in.
Yeah.
I know people who go to the VA. I've heard their stories. I've read their stories on Facebook. I knew there was a problem.
Yeah.
Medicare for All actually does not solve that problem.
Right.
So I've talked about in the past that Medicare for All is not single payer. It's Medicare for All.
Right.
It excludes veterans.
Veterans, yeah.
It keeps the VA intact. So I've said this is a great stepping stone to get to single payer, but it is not single payer. So I wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure that veterans get into that.
Yeah.
Because right now the VA is failing veterans. It is
Yeah.
not an acceptable program anymore. It's been taken advantage of. They blame the people at the bottom.
Yeah.
They make it easier to fire those people at the bottom, which was again spearheaded by my incumbent. And when really it's not about the people at the bottom. They're doing what they're told. If they can get away with things, they're going to get away with things. Now, working for the government, like those people in the VA do, and because I work for the marketplace, I will tell you that you will get away with murder with the government.
Right.
Because they're contracting people. And these contractors get paid for every head that's in those seats, whether they're working or not.
Yep.
So they want to keep you there. And you can sit there all day just like, I don't have to do nothing because they won't even let me go home. So don't blame the people at the bottom. You need to blame the people at the top, which is the reoccurring theme over and over and over again of trying to divide and conquer.
Yeah.
It's
like the old bootstrap, argument, pull yourself up by the bootstraps when you have the government paying people not to farm their lands.
Yeah.
So a corporation can go in and fill the grocery stores with GMO food. And the glyphosate, that stuff's in everything. It's in the clothes we wear. It's pretty much, if you got on a cotton shirt, that cotton was a GMO cotton seed. That stuff gets in your blood, is in there for up to like 8 years to get it out of your body. That stuff does extreme amounts of damage to your system, and I always tell people, don't take my word for it. Look, go to the doctor and have them give you a blood test and test for it to see if it's in there. He'll come back with it in there. It's in everything. I have a small garden of my own, and it's one thing I noticed how the different looking of the bees, they don't even look the same as they did when I was a kid. They look.
not as many of them either.
No, not at all. And they spray these chemicals on, like some of the first weeds, the dandelions, some of the first weeds that come up. When you spray that stuff with these weed killers and stuff, these bees get this stuff, they take that pollen somewhere else, and it contaminates everything. Mm-hmm. Not only does it contaminate the food we eat, it kills off of them too. Right. And if bees can't pollinate anything, we can't eat.
Yeah, bees die, we die.
Yeah. And
that is true.
I feel like we're going through another mass extinction.
Well, there is that really damning feeling in the pit of all of our stomachs that we just can't shake no matter what we do, and I'm worried. And actually, that feeling is part of the driving force of why I'm doing this and why I'm not going to stop doing this. Because if no one else is going to stand up against the GOP, if no one else is going to stand up against a corporate paid for politician, then I will stand up and say that this is not okay. Now, media ignores me.
Yeah.
Media ignores all of this campaign. That is to be expected because
Right.
I am not for corporations in any way, shape, or form. Now, I've introduced a plan, a tax plan, that we've done the American Dream tax plan because I don't think the American Dream has ever really been achievable
No.
throughout the history of this country.
No.
Maybe at some point it was pretty close, like during the good old days.
Yeah.
But here we are at this point in time now where we are on the cusp of actually realizing the American dream for every citizen. And we could have that
Yeah.
if we go to the right instead to the left, which the left is the current path we're on.
Right.
So if we go to the right, which is right because it's the right way to go, we can do this. So the tax plan that I've introduced would tax corporations at 90%. Now a lot of Republicans,
That's how it was like when FDR, wasn't it?
the good old days.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 90%, and a lot of Republicans and loyalist Democrats have said that is way too high. It doesn't make any sense. You can't tax corporations at 90%. Well, 2016, Walmart made $130.6 billion. If we tax them at 90%, they still make like $13 billion.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why it's not okay to tax them at 90% when they're still going to be making billions of
Right.
dollars in profit.
Besides the point that about 70% of their employees get some form of government assistance.
Right. Now, I'm working on an example right now that would increase the pay of every employee at Walmart across the board to $15 an hour, and then it would tax them at that 90%. And then I'm working on the example of different deductions that Walmart can have
Right.
if they do the things that we need.
Right.
So like a 2% deduction for offering parental leave for both males and females.
Yeah.
So that way, and that would be for 3 months on.
Yeah,
So
because
if they
women
offer
don't
parental
get
leave
the
for 3
proper
months.
time off to
No.
heal their body, to nourish
Right.
their kid, to bond with their kid.
Right.
I mean, I get it, women bond with the kid,
Yes.
during pregnancy, but, a woman shouldn't have a baby, then a week later she's back at work.
Well, it's actually physically
Yeah.
not really possible because
Right.
there's something that a lot of people don't talk about with pregnancy, and that
Yeah.
is the month after.
Right.
And that month after is disgusting. It really is. It's a horrible month.
It's a lot of
that
women
you
that go to
should
work
not be at work
within
during
that month.
that.
Yeah.
And not only that, but we have this really bad epidemic in our country where fathers are not bonding with their children.
Yep.
And that's causing fathers to leave. And we have this huge issue of dads that have left their families
Yeah.
and are not responsible for their children at all. So if we offer this parental leave for males also, they will have that time to bond with their children. They'll have that time to bond and help with the mother of that child. And so we can offer a deduction for corporations to actually provide that for their employees. And it would be a hefty deduction. It would actually help cover a lot of the costs of their employees' time off work that they're paying them for.
Right.
Because this is paid parental leave.
Yeah.
That's how we roll.
And the sad thing about it, I look at it like this is the stuff that we're talking about. This stuff should have been implemented decades ago. This is not like some, just spur of the moment thing or anything like this.
Right.
We should have this stuff should have already been in place, in this country.
Right.
As rich as this country is,
Mhm.
this stuff should have already been in place.
Is it wrong to feel nervous when 2 police officers drive by?
Oh no! At this point, I don't worry about it anymore. No.
If something's going to happen, it's going to happen. You can't stop
No.
it, right? It's kind of
Exactly.
gotten way out of hand.
Yeah.
Right.
I just figured they stay over there, we stay over here, we're all good. So that's just how it is. And do you have anything else?
I know, it's
No.
pretty interesting. We can watch it. They got called to someone's property and they're just kind of going on it.
Right. I know.
SLMPD.
This is crazy. Tell the people where they can find you. Tell the people where they can find you.
I have the website teammissouri.net. It's with 2 M's, so teammissouri.net. And then from there, you can have access to Facebook, which is @AngelicaForMo. You have access to Twitter, same handle. We're on Tumblr, not really using that yet. I don't understand Tumblr. Sorry, I'm getting a little old. And we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, pretty much anywhere. If you go to the website, we even have a P.O. box. You can send us letters with your concerns, anything. Right now, what we need for our campaign is we need sponsors across the state to have us come in for town halls, which I would like to speak to everyone and then have them ask me questions or share their concerns, because I am always going to be listening. One of the pledges I have made is that no matter what happens, when I am elected, I will always be available to my constituents. Always. None of this, take a message and maybe she'll get back to you in a month. No. It's, if you have to take a message, I will be calling you back. And that's something that needs to be a commitment from every political
Right.
politician candidate, is that we will always be in communication with our constituents.
Right, because when I reached out to you, I was a nervous wreck. I was like, what the hell? I see what's going on, and I knew that I knew the Democratic Party in Missouri. Anybody that challenges the establishment, I knew what was going on, and I just want to say thank you for coming on my small little platform. And I reached out to this woman. She did not hesitate to respond. We set up a time. She was here, and as far as I know from experience, it was easy to contact her. She responds when you message her or however you decide to reach out to this woman. She responds. That's from my experience. I can only speak on that.
And if I don't respond, it's an accident. So don't think I'm ignoring you. Just send it again, because it got lost in the shuffle. It was not intentional. So just send it again, and I will respond. I'm there. That's my pledge. I actually wrote that pledge out at one point. It's on a PowerPoint. I'm either debating on releasing that on YouTube with a voiceover, or I'm going to travel with this PowerPoint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if you out there listening, you got a few spare dollars, go to the website, donate if you can. Word of mouth helps too.
Hugely.
And
what's the word? Bigly.
Yeah. You got that right. So I just want to once again say thank you for the time. I really appreciate it.
This is great.
Thank you.
I love this location.
Yes.
It's beautiful for what it is. And it definitely speaks to the current climate of our country.
Ladies and gentlemen, Angelica Earl, Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Look her up and register to vote, because we can't get her in office if you're not registered to vote, and go and vote.
Right, and the primary is in August of next year. All you have to do is run out and mark my little bubble on that piece of paper. Please do not use the voting machines and use the actual piece of paper. Just a little request that I have. And if you have any spare dollars at all, please donate to the campaign. We are trying desperately to travel the state, and we cannot do it without any financial support. It does cost money, even though I don't want to admit that it does, but it does.
Yeah.
So I need that. You can find that at crowdpack.com /C/Angelica for Missouri. And please, even $1, and we will get it going. And I would love to come meet you anywhere across the state. Just give me a shout out and tell me where you are, and I will try to set up an appointment to be out there.
And there you go. I'm Dimebag Darley. Thank you very much, and we're out. Peace.